Hey everybody, this is Brent in Central Arkansas, and this is my spare bedroom. I clean all this off whenever company's coming or the like, but most of the time, most of the year, it's empty. Kids are all grown, and I use this as my evaluation room, I guess that you could call it that. These are tomatoes that come from both no-weed garden, both the shed no-weed garden and the main no-weed garden. That's two different areas of that are on my place where I use ground cover to keep the weeds out, and I use shade cloth to keep the sun from cooking the plants too much during the dead of summer like it is now, the beginning of August. We're at 102 today for a high, literal, not feels like. And the only way these tomatoes will keep growing is, number one, because they're parthenocarpic, and number two, the sun doesn't bake them to death because of the shade cloth. So the reason why I'm sharing this video with you today is because this is part of my breeding work here. And all these tomatoes are several different varieties. They're mostly super bare. I have 30 plants of super bare because it's the second generation and most diverse. And I get tomatoes from big ones like this one here, this gorgeous one here, down to smaller ones like this and this here. And I will keep only the absolute best, one, maybe two, from super bare to carry forward. It has to meet several qualities. It's got to have nice size shoot, nice size fruit, nice consistent fruit, round, not display, not too much mangling or weirdness about it, cat facing, not too much cracking like this one. And what I do at this point is I just take pictures and I evaluate it and I collect seed. And when I'm done with the growing season, then I go back and I review all the pictures and all my notes, and I make a selection. In order to do that, to make sure, I have to collect seed from every single line of tomato. Once I do it once or twice, it's done for the season. But just to show you the sheer volume, this was seed right here in these paper plates that I collected just yesterday. And those seed right there were collected the day after this seed here, and these were collected on one day. And then once these dry out for about 4 or 5 days, I will add them to this pile here. And this pile here, that is a lot of seed. I mean a lot of seed. Each one contains a fruit line. A tomato is a fruit. A fruit line that I'm attempting to save seed from. Now, it doesn't mean I'm going to use them for the next generation. It means I have them should I decide to grow them out again the next year. So I will keep those, every single seed, in storage, but only the newer lines, the best lines, will carry forward. I just happened to see 2-25. 2-25 was one that's catching my eye right now. So we've got fruit here because there wasn't enough room on the table over there. And what I do is I pull them when they're slightly color, when they have just a little bit of color, less than this even, because what's happening in this really high heat with container growing is they do this regularly. And a good way that I can tell that it's crack resistant is I've got better boys growing out there and celebrities growing out there. And if my lines crack the same or less than better boy or celebrity, it's acceptable to me because I cannot tell the difference in what they would do in good temperatures. Like I said, it's been 100, it was 100 yesterday, 102 today. It's going to be 100 tomorrow. It's just ungodly hot. And most lines have stopped producing. In most places across the country, people have already pulled up their tomatoes, in the South especially, because it's just too darn hot to grow tomatoes. But I have to keep pressing forward because I'm doing a trial against my tomato lines against Celebrity and Better Boy. So I'm going to carry it to the end, whatever that end may be, and I'll evaluate that as well. So the intent is for cracking, like this tomato here, there's little cracking. I know that almost all of them, if I leave them on till they're ripe on the vine, there's no way that they would make it. Every single tomato, no matter what line, including Better Boy and Celebrity, are showing signs of severe cracking at that point. And part of the reason is because of container growing. If they were in the ground, they'd probably get more even keel watering because they have roots that could find the watering. It doesn't evaporate as quickly. But right now I'm watering 4 times a day for 12 minutes. And those containers are drying and wetting, drying and wetting. And what that does to the tomato plant is as soon as it gets enough, as soon as it sees water is available, it sucks it up as much as it can to survive, and it cracks the fruit, especially when it starts breaking like this. When it starts breaking, it's no longer tough, and the skin is thinnest, and it'll start cracking. So what I do, like I said, is I pull them at first sign of color, and I bring them in the house and let them ripen. So they may sit in here for, I don't know, 2 days to 5 days, something like that. Another thing I do, because I've got so many tomatoes, I think you can see here, I've had quite a bit more than this even, is I've got my travel cooler here. And my travel cooler is set on 50 degrees. Now this cooler I bought so when we RV travel I could have drinks or even frozen stuff, because this will go from well under freezing. I can't remember if it's 5 degrees all the way up to, I don't know, 60, 65 degrees, something like that. And it's got a compressor on it, and it'll work off of the car lighter or electricity. I have it plugged into electricity right now. But I have it set on 50 because at 50 degrees Fahrenheit, tomato fruit won't be damaged by storage, and it'll store 2 to 3 times longer than it normally would on the counter. See, these tomatoes here have a little bit of blush, and some of them are even mature green, and they're even cracking at that stage. But what'll happen is these will keep. I even went on vacation for a week and I came back and they were perfectly just like when I put them in there. But these are nice and cool, 50 degrees, and they'll stay in there for a very long time, at least a week. And what that does is it gives me enough time to cut these open and do everything I need to do to evaluate these. Now I've got a video out showing how I evaluate cherry tomatoes. And these, I'm not going to do a separate video. We're going to just call this video the same. These are done the same exact way, but instead of multiples, I just do 1 tomato at a time. And I try to reuse the paper towel. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, please go back and review that video where I show where I weigh them, I cut them open, I check for seeds, I taste them, I record the weights, and I put it all in a spreadsheet. And I do all that with these big tomatoes too, but 1 at a time. And that takes some time. It'll take me 2 or 3 hours a day to record, I don't know, half of this table, maybe a little more than half of this table. But the thing is that not almost every day, every single day, I'm getting new fruit right now. So that's pretty much it. It is kind of giving you a background view of how I save tomato seed. The seed up there in that big pile that's that thick, or it's even thicker than that, of the paper plates. I don't know, there's probably 50 or 75 paper plates over there. It means 50 or 75 different types of seed. I'll let those sit up there for a month to make sure they're good and dry. They're dry before I put it up there, but I want them to completely be dry before I put them in seed packets. This is Brent, you guys. Just a little information behind the scenes. We'll see you later.
How long do we gotta stay here for people we don't know in one lines? All of the clothes are designer, fast cars and who knows who. Yeah, I know what they wanna say,